Hello and welcome to our channel. My name is Alex Karanda and I'm CTO of Decima Digital. E-commerce world is continuously under the security, performance, and customer experience pressure. In any case, it doesn't matter how fancy looks your website, the end user expects website to be fast and furious, especially on mobile. As you could guess, today we are going to speak about the website performance. This conversation could be split into four main topics: understanding performance in general, review front-end performance, application performance, and infrastructure performance. So during today's session, we are going to cover only two topics: understanding performance and front-end performance. The other two topics would be delivered later on. Follow my links and channel. So let us dive deep into performance in general. So let us start from understanding performance. Website performance is all about making website fast. Website performance refers to the speed in which web pages are downloaded and displayed to the end users. In any case, everybody understands performance differently based on their needs. If you ask 10 different people on a different specialty, what is a website performance for them? You will receive 10 different answers. The matter in the performance metric. People take different metric which they're interested in and identify this metric as website performance. As an example, client usually refers to Google page speed as a performance metric. Here's my page speed rates. SEO specialist usually looks at page load time or time to first byte. Developer usually refers to application response time. DevOps looks at request per seconds or concurrent sessions. And once we open browser dev tool, we can find a lot of more performance metrics and a lot of times, like application response, DOM content load, rendering time, any other time. So this is why performance is quite complex topic and it's good topic to discuss. All these times and numbers could be combined into three main performance components: front-end performance, application performance, and infrastructure performance. If you want to speak about website performance, we should consider all these three components. Infrastructure performance is usually hard to identify and explain to end users or customers. It is kind of wheels and gear to our application engine. It is a set of services which are driving our application. The quality of infrastructure architecture identifies the application reliability and performance. Usually, once we want to represent infrastructure performance, we might refer to response time, concurrency level, maximum number of customer sessions. Application performance usually represented with application response time. Simply speaking, it's time required for your PHP process to communicate with MySQL external resources to proceed request and provide response. But in the real life, this time is a little bit more complex and consists with multiple values. So this is the time required for your browser to prepare and send requests to the network. It's query time. It's time required for your network DNS lookup service spent to resolve and find the right host. Another time is to deliver this request via the network to the right server, right host. And only then this time required for application to process this request and convert it into the response content. And finally, this is the time required for your browser to receive response and download this content. So as you could see, application performance is more complex topic than it's just PHP processing some requests. And finally, front-end performance. This is the most complex topic. This is usually what the client mainly concerned as the website performance. And this is very hard topic because front-end is generating multiple performance metric, which we should be taking care of if we want to satisfy our customer. Application load time, time to first byte, cumulative layout shift, largest contentful paint, first contentful paint, application speed index. All these parameters can be affecting our performance and customer attitude. This is really hard to keep all these parameters in the green zone due to multiple reasons. There could be some native limitation of theme. Google can change speed formula. Google does it from time to time. So today you might be in green zone, tomorrow you might be in red zone with the same data or same parameters. As well as new development might introduce new performance issues. There are a lot of different performance metrics, as well as there are a lot of different performance tools, which helps to collect these metrics on front end, back end, and infrastructure. Here is a list of our preferred tools: Google PageSpeed Insights, GTmetrix, Lighthouse. We use this tool to collect front-end performance metrics. Gmeter, BlazeMeter. We usually use these tools to run load tests, which helps us identify infrastructure maximum capacity, as well as application average response time. Google Analytics gives us Google understanding of performance, which sometimes, or in most cases, might be a little bit different from the reality. And finally, we use New Relic. In New Relic, we look at Updex score, which is percentage of satisfied customers. Definitely, there are a lot of more tools, but these tools are preferred. These tools we are using every day, and these tools gives maximum value for us. So what about default Magento with Luma theme? How is it bad, good, or average? We did some benchmarking and collected some average results. So we can say that Google page speed on mobile is 24, on desktop it's 70, and average response time without caching on catalog or product detail pages is about 1 to 2 seconds. I would say it is average results, but for the customer, taking into account that today's mobile era, it is something which is not fully satisfying and needs to be improved. So let us see how we can improve all these parameters. And let us start from the front-end performance. As we already mentioned, front-end performance is mainly about Google page speed metrics. Customer usually refers to all these parameters as the main point for front-end page speed optimization. And when he says your web speed performance is quite poor. So let us review each parameters individually. Largest contentful paint, LCP. It's how quickly the main content on the web page loaded and visible on the page. It measures in seconds. First input delay, FID, helps to measure your user first impression of your site when he sees the first results of page request. Cumulative layout shift measures in points, and it measures web page stability if blocks are not blinking or sliding. First content paint, FCP, measures the time when the page starts loading and any part of the page complete rendering on the screen. Interaction to the next paint, INP. It's page responsiveness, means the page was constantly able to respond quickly to all client or user interactions. It might be the most important is time to first byte, TTFB. It measures the time between request send and when the first byte of the response being arrived. Performance scores is calculated as a combination of all these parameters. If you follow the link which Google provides, you can open a performance calculator and see how each parameters affect overall performance scores. It is not proportional. Some parameters might have higher impact, some lower. So all mentioned performance parameters are refers to the real web page elements. It's a DOM document size, structure, nesting level, block positions, as well as JavaScript, internal, external files, execution processes, and logic inside of JavaScript. It's number of CSS files, size of CSS files, time required to proceed and apply all styles on pages. Images, it's size of the image, compressing, image visibility, lazy loading, and using of modern image formats. Some external resources like tracking pixel, hotjars, chat, or recapture solutions. And finally, it's content delivery network and caching mechanism applied on pages. All these elements affects performance scores, but fixing one element won't give any results or won't be helpful. Performance improvements should be done in complex. Performance improvements should be applied on all listed elements. Before jump into specific performance issues and improvements, I'd like to pay your attention at Adobe front-end best practices and recommendations. If you walk through the Adobe document, we can combine it as a front-end checklist, which we can follow during implementation. So let us see what we can check and validate as a default Adobe settings. So we can check if content security policy, SCP, is configured properly. Check if CSS settings like minification and merging is enabled in the back office or on configuration. Check if options move JavaScript to the bottom is enabled in the back office or configuration. Check if enabled JavaScript minification. If JavaScript bundling or advanced bundling is implemented. Also check if Fastly CDN option is enabled, as well as image optimization and enabling WebP solution. And finally, Adobe also allows you to make some HTML compression. One note, all these settings available in the back office for developer mode only. In the production mode, it needs to check just in command line or in the database configuration. So let us move to some front-end problems. The simplest situation is about performance with CSS. The common problem about CSS are number of CSS files, size of CSS content files, number of requests to get CSS resources, and inline CSS in HTML content. So the possible ways to improve and optimize it: reduce size of CSS files by enabling Magento minification. It is also possible to reduce number of CSS files by enabling CSS file merging, as well as removing some unused CSS files. Also, it works to make your HTML more cleaner by moving inline CSS into the specific style sheet files. The common problems about HTML are excessive DOM size and exceeding reasonable element nesting level. Excessive DOM size, it is about number of elements which is rendered on the pages. Google usually starts complaining once we exceed 3,000 HTML elements or HTML content size more than 30 kilobytes. Exceeding reasonable element nesting level, it's about the complex HTML structure. What is the nesting elements we do have? So what are the possible solutions? So one of the solutions, control your development. Once you develop, keep HTML structure as simple as possible. Another solution, you can enable HTML compressing settings in the Magento configuration. And one additional solution, it's implement content lazy loading. Not all content is important for SEO. Not all content is visible for customer once a page loaded. So it is possible to postpone loading of some content and request content via Ajax. So you kind of implemented postpone content load and reduce HTML size in the same time. Images also might cause performance problems. Google usually complains about compression level, image position and resizing, displaying images which are not visible on the first page, not using modern image formats. The good news, Magento out of the box offers multiple options. So first of all, it offers lazy loading, which is enabled by default. It also offers your Fastly CDN with image optimization and compression options, as well as possibility to enable WebP support on Fastly level. Another problem is cumulative layout shift, CLS, which is measuring visual page stability and blocks are not blinking or jumping on the page load. So what is the problem? Once page is loaded, some blocks might show some inconsistency during the page load. What is the possible solutions? It's predefine block size, fix element width and height, or implement kind of placeholders for content populated via Ajax. So once content would be ready to be displayed, content would replace placeholders with the actual data. So one of the common JavaScript performance issue is JavaScript size. It is referred to number of requests required to get JavaScript resources, size of loaded JavaScript resources, as well as inline JavaScript in HTML. So as a solution, we can offer enable JavaScript minification, review possibility to implement JavaScript bundling, and move inline JavaScript into specific script files. One of the biggest Magento problem about JavaScript is that Magento is loading all existing on the platform JavaScript files on every single pages. So it is about 300 or 200 JavaScript files, which loading all the time. So it loads a lot of redundant files. It loads a lot of files which are not even executed on specific pages. It loads it everywhere and everything. So one of the possible solution is to collect and remove redundant JavaScript files. Additional solution is implement advanced JavaScript bundling, where we could build at least 5 or 6 different JavaScript files related to specific group of content, like it's a global bundle, and then it's homepage, catalog, customer, checkout, and on specific pages, we would load in 2 or 3 bundles, not more. And more radical solution, it's use a specific headless solutions or Hua theme, which contains minimal number of JavaScript files. Packing Pixel, Chat Solution, Google Tag Manager, Hotjar, Recapture, and any other external JavaScript resources affect badly your performance, as well as affect time for script processing and compilation. External scripts loading might badly affect your front-end performance and Google page speed. The funny story is that Google usually complains about Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, or Google Recapture and reduce your Google points just because you are using Google Tag Manager script. The solution would be the following. First of all, avoid using external scripts if it's possible. Enable asynchronous script loading, so it would not be like blocking page load or page rendering. Add some delays own script loading and processing. As an example, chat solution is not required to be displayed on the page in the same second when page is ready. Chat can be loaded 5 seconds later once page rendering complete. What about default Magento with custom theme? If you implement all highlighted recommendations we reviewed during this conversation. So based on our practice, the maximum we could achieve it is 5762 on mobile. But this is kind of really heavy sweat results. It was required to invest a lot of time and resources to achieve these results. And what we could say, it is the maximum of the maximum results, which is achievable on Magento with the Luma theme. So the final goal of all these manipulations is definitely to receive Magento page speed in a green zone. And to be honest, it is possible. But the conclusion it's not possible with native Magento theme, as we could see. It is possible using some headless solution, PWA, or using Cuba theme instead of default Luma theme. So thank you for your attention, and let us keep our website performing well.